A lot of businesses are operating remotely during the pandemic and don't plan to bring employees back into the office until at least next year. Boston-based software company LogMeIn is permanently transitioning to a remote workplace. And joining us now is the CEO, Bill Wagner, to talk more about this process. And Bill, thanks for doing this. Let's start with you telling us a little bit about your company.
So the company was founded in 2013, and we have about 4,000 employees around the world. We make software that enables people to work from anywhere, helps them support their employees, helps them connect to their employees, and keep them engaged as they work from anywhere and do their work. And obviously, what we've experienced this year has been something that has dramatically changed the environment around us, and I think permanently so.
Obviously, it makes sense for your company to be able to do this, but what ultimately drove the decision to go fully remote?
Well, I think first and foremost, like a lot of business leaders, we were reacting to COVID in the March timeframe and making sure our employees were safe and were able to do their work. But as we stepped back and looked at what was going on in the summer, our business was able to run really effectively. So really four things drove our decision. Number one, our employees told us that that's what they wanted. They were effective working from home. In Boston, less than 10% of our employees, when we surveyed them, said that they wanted to go back to the office full time. They liked the flexibility of working remotely. So that was the first reason. The second thing was it allows us to start to hire differently than we were able to before. So we can reach talent that isn't necessarily tethered to an office. The third reason was sustainability, which is a big driver for a lot of companies, a lot of investors and employees. We care a lot about the impact we're having on the environment, and working from home and remote working actually has a very positive impact on that. And then the fourth thing, and probably the smallest reason, was actually cost savings. And there are cost savings as we peel back some of our real estate investments around the world. But actually, that's the smallest contributing factor to our decision.
What steps did the company need to take, though, in order to actually accomplish this?
Well, clearly we had the technology to make it work effectively, and that's the first step. And a lot of companies are still scrambling to make sure they can adapt the technology that enable knowledge workers to be effective and be productive from anywhere. But we've seen that happen over the last 10 months. What was really required was to be thoughtful about the changes that it would have on our employees permanently, and how we made sure that we didn't lose the culture of the company as we shifted to becoming a remote-centric company, which is what we are.
It is amazing how rapid this transition has been. In 10 months, people have completely adjusted to this whole concept. But did it present challenges?
It does, and I think a lot of CEOs went into this phase really concerned about remote working and would it work. And the easy part has actually been the business functions. For a lot of organizations, the business has worked really well in a remote setting. Obviously, there are certain industries where it doesn't work at all, so let's be clear. But for a lot of companies, I think CEOs were surprised at how well it did work. So the pivot really became, and the focus became, on employee welfare. And that's where we've spent a lot of time thinking through how to make sure our employees are engaged, productive, and not overly stressed out as they work remotely.
Right. So you said you have about 4,000 employees worldwide, and fewer than 10% said that they wanted to return to the office. But within that 10%, there are some people who will say, I miss the interaction at the office. I miss going in and seeing my colleagues in real time. So what's been their response, those few people, and what do you say to them, the people who kind of would like to go back to an office?
Well, I think you're right. And look, we all, there's a certain level of interaction that we all want and crave, and we're going to continue to have that. So we still will have offices around the world. The shift is that most people won't come into the office 5 days a week. And when I went out and talked to that 10% of employees who said, I can't wait to get back to the office, when I said, yeah, but what if you could go back 1 to 2 days a week and then work remotely the other days? Absolutely, 100% of them said, like, yes, that's going to work just great for me. So it's not so much that they're forced to work remotely full time, but we give people the option of being in the office a couple days a week, but then also being productive at home the remaining days.
Sure. You're also launching a new global sustainability program. What's that?
Well, according to the United Nations, remote work really solves or addresses at least 14 out of 17 sustainability issues that they've identified. So remote work can have a huge impact. And for LogMeIn, we can save over 11,000 metric tons of carbon emissions as we make this shift. So we've seen the impact in terms of infrastructure, not just here in Boston, but around the world. And obviously, we're all thinking more and more about the impact we're having on our planet. And this is a way really to kind of kill two birds with one stone.
Well, LogMeIn CEO Bill Wagner, thank you so much for joining us. Good luck with this whole transition. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Paula.